radio thanks. The earphones, we're going to throw them out, so no problem. And if you want to come back and see something more in detail and take your time, you're allowed to. Just don't go out of the museum and enter again because you are not allowed to. So, here what we see is the production process that we had in the past at Ferrari. So, this car was made in 1963. We at Ferrari were founded in 1947. So it was not long since we were producing cars, and our process was all done by hand. So you can see here the body shell of this beautiful 250 LM. This was completely shaped by hand using hammers on bags of sand. So you would have workers that were like using those hammers to give the shape they wanted to. It was a very long process. It took up to 4 months just to produce the body shell. So that meant that you were not producing like a lot of items per model. Of this one we just did 33, so not a lot of them, because it was so difficult to produce them. There is a big difference if you compare it with like body shell of the present. This one is the Ferrari A12 GTS, Gran Turismo Spider, that's what GTS stands for. And here you see the body shell of it, not really exact because this one is the A12 super fast, but they are very similar. The only difference is that this one is a convertible, this one doesn't have that feature, but they are more or less the same. And this one is produced with our new techniques that we have at Ferrari, so we have the help of technology. And overall now, to produce a car from the very beginning to the end like this, so if you have the money to buy it, you can. With these kind of cars, actually, it's more difficult to get them because they are limited edition. So you have a certain amount of items you're going to produce per year and just a limited time period. Then you have these cars have a selection of the customers that can buy them. So like Ferrari will select their clients and will like send them an invitation saying we're going to Italy as a company. And it has a V8 rear engine that uses the turbo technology. So it means that it can reach the speed of 324 kilometers per hour. And it meant that when it was in production, this was the fastest car in the whole world. Enzo described it as the perfect combination of a racing car and a road car. Because it's a road car, so it's really legal, but it has the same performance as a Formula 1 car. Yes, this one is from 1967, that one is from 2018. So that's why. Equal to the F40, we produce it for 150 as a company. And here the inspiration from the F1 is not just in the engine, you can see the production of it on this side and also through the plexiglass covering in the back and the grid in the back. And that one is a B12 with 520 horsepower and actually it's a monochrome frame, so it's directly installed on the chassis inside. And this means that like you can keep the weight down of the car, so if your car is lighter, it can go faster. And this one, the inspiration from the F1 is not just in the engine, you can see it also in the design. You see these two air intakes over here, they start reproducing the nose of a Formula 1 car. You are going to see that this feature becomes more and more evident with our models because what they want to communicate is that you have a Formula 1 car you can use on the road. And this one is very difficult to drive actually because, for example, it doesn't have features like the ABS that we have in our normal cars because what they wanted to do is to reproduce exactly like the feeling you would have when driving a Formula 1 car. So it doesn't have those kind of luxuries that our cars have.
And this?
Yeah. Esse é V12.
And in this car, the nose of the Formula 1 is very evident, the one I was mentioning.
Igualzinha a Fórmula 1.
Because Enzo originally just wanted to have a racing team, actually. First, our racing team was founded in 1929, Scuderia Ferrari, and then only afterwards we had started producing cars. So Enzo was particularly in love with this world of the races, so that's why we wanted to include this nose of the F1 in his car. And this one has a B12 rear engine, 660 horsepower, and it reaches speeds higher than 350 km per hour. It's the same as a Formula 1 car at this point. Of this car, we produced 399 items, but this time we produced one more, 2 years later, in 2004, for the Pope. Jean-Paul II, the Pope, had one of these, so now
He drive it too?
I don't know if he drove it. Like, we have no pictures of. Yeah, probably. Like, we have no pictures, so if there's not a picture, you cannot like say for sure. But he had one, and actually he didn't keep it for himself, but he auctioned it off. And the money he collected, he gave it to the people that were affected by the tsunami in Sri Lanka in 2004. So very charitable thing to do.
Ele dá umas voltinhas lá no Vaticano que não se via, né?
And this one that you see over here is La Ferrari. So La Ferrari is called this way because actually it's the first time that the design of the car was done inside of Maranello. Until this point, the company designing all the cars before was Pininfarina. Pininfarina was an external collaborator, one of the biggest names in the world of like car designing in Italy. And here we decided to have our own head designer, Flavio Manzoni, design everything on the car. So that's why we were so proud of it, and we call it with the name of our company. And this one is very special for another reason, because actually it's technically the first hybrid of Ferrari. You have the combustion engine of 800 horsepower, to which you have to combine electric engines that recharge using the gas technology. So they utilize the kinetic energy you produce when braking, and they add an additional 163 horsepower. So in total, this car has 963 horsepower, and it's able to accelerate from 0 to 200 kilometers per hour in less than 7 seconds. So it's an incredible acceleration. So we were not like satisfied with La Ferrari as it was, so we produced the like more powerful version. This one is the FXX A12, and if you look at the power of this engine, it's 1050 horsepower. This one is obviously not road legal, it's just for the races, for the FXX program. There is a program where you have these clients of Ferrari that buy these racing cars, and Ferrari organizes the challenges for them. So there is an FXX category where they drive these and compete with these kind of cars. And this one has actually been used a lot. If you look at the stickers on the